You're doing a audio check. This stream was supposed to be on the 26th, but I just didn't get around to starting it. You're doing a audio check. All right, the audio works. So essentially, what we're doing is we're creating something that has already been created in GitHub. We're continuing to do that. So just to build it in GitHub to show the functionalities of it. So this is where I think we left off in the tutorial last time. And this is that code. Actually, I think it should be in here. Oh, so this is a style. This is a style sheet. Okay. One moment. See, I'm trying to get them heard. So it says subject scene. The rem unit stands for root m and is relative to the font size of the HTML element. As label elements are inline by default, they are all displayed side by side on the same line, making their text hard to read. To make them appear on separate lines, add display. Okay, so we're adding an element. It's going to be display block to the label element. Oh, okay, so So just to the label element. So I think how I would do that is like this. Is that correct? Oh, I didn't, and also to add a margin of 0.05, alright. Is that how it's written? Alright, so that's a new code. So we're gonna make that change to the code on our local computer. And we're gonna save it. I think we're gonna continue to, like every other, not every single tutorial, but every couple of tutorials, we're gonna push it up to push the new changes to GitHub so that it saves over. Step 17. So we're back at HTML. That's an input element within each label. Be sure to add each input after the label text and include a space after the colon. Okay, so it's basically saying right here there needs to be an input element. Oh, within each label. Alright. So I think that would look something like this. Sure to add an input element, after the label text. Oh, after the label text. Wait, so nest an input element within each label. Be sure to add each input after the label text. Oh, okay, after the label text. Okay, yep. So after this, after this, and after this. You should add the first input element after the label text and your first name. I think that's what it is. That's what I meant. Oh, okay. So I think that's what I'm supposed to do. So one space. And yeah, so that's what it wanted us to do. So I'm gonna copy those changes. I'm gonna replicate those changes onto new code. So there's gonna be an input element here. Probably copy and paste it. So space, enter, whoa. Space, enter, space, enter, and that should be what it wanted us to do. So I'm going to save those changes. Follow the accessibility best practices, link the input elements and label elements together using the for attribute. Okay, so I believe it's a label for first name like this. Some kind of error. I don't know what it is. Oh, probably ID. Probably the ID goes here. So the ID will go here. The ID for last name will go here. The ID for email, I think it's just email, so don't need to copy and paste it. And the ID for new password. So your password, and it's gonna have a respective ID. So this is gonna have 4 element. Of last name. This is gonna have a 4 element for email. This is gonna have a 4 element for new password. It's gonna match. So we're linking the IDs and the labels. And also one for the first one. That should be first name. So I believe that's what we're supposed to do. So let's just see if that checks out. So ID for this. For this. ID for this. It's going to be last name. For this. ID for this. This is going to be email. For email, I mean, you really need to copy and paste it. And ID for new password. So that's new dash password. And for new dash password. This should work. Alright, looks like there's some kind of error. So the first input element should have an ID first name. Okay, so let's just turn this from ID to for, from for to ID. Alright, so then label it's for. Alright, so I think IntelliJ kind of threw me off. Because it gave me an error message when I tried to use for, but it's actually for label. Alright, so that works. That's the right code. So, I'm gonna change all this to 4. Gonna change all this to 4. Gotta change this to 4. and this to 4. And this is ID. This is ID. This is ID. And this is ID. Alright, so looks like that's that. Specifying the type attribute of a form element is important for the browser to know what kind of data it should expect. If the type is not specified, the browser will default to text. Yeah, so basically we have these as input elements, but we're not saying what kind of input they are. So give the first 2 input elements the type text, and the third type email, and the 4th type password. Okay, so let's try it out on the editor. I'm kind of switching it up between making the changes on the edit on IntelliJ IDEA or the online editor. This type is going to be text. This type is going to be text. This type is going to be email. This type is going to be password. Should be right. Alright, so I'll make those changes here. Type text. Type text. Type email. Type password. Save all. Alright, so made those changes. Just give an idea here of how much. So we're at 20. We're coming up on 20. So to finish this, it's 60. There's 63 of them. There's 63 tutorials. So I think maybe every 5 or 10 we're gonna push it, just to get more familiar with Github. The first input element with a type of submit is automatically set to submit its nearest parent form element. The first input element with the type of submit is automatically set to submit its nearest form element. To handle form submission after the last field set, add an input element with the type attribute set to submit and the value to submit. So after the last field set, so this is the last field set, it wants us to create an input element of type submit. And its value is going to be also equal to submit. Oh, I didn't make it a capital S. Alright, so we're going to do that here. Step 21. At this point, you should be able to submit the form. However, you might notice not much happens. I think it will show how this form is forming out so far. So to make the form more interactive, add the required attribute to the input elements in the first field set. So we work with the required before. Just want to make sure it's registering properly. So we're going to add the required. I think if we do that right here, that'll work. Alright, the third one. And I think it's gonna do the fourth one. So it's the fourth one right there. Which will make it required to enter. Alright, so we're going to make that change. So required. 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 Certain type attribute values come with built-in form validation. For example, type equals email requires that the value be a valid email address. So it'll detect if it's in the right format. Add custom validation to the password input element by adding a minimum length attribute, value of 8. Doing so prevents anything less than 8 characters to not be able to be submitted. Alright, so let's do that for this. With type equals password, you can use a pattern attribute to define a regular expression that the password must match to be considered valid. Add a password attribute to the password input element to require the input match. So we did do this before. We're just making sure it works on Github. This is a password format. Oh, we should remove the minimum length. Okay. Well, that kind of does imply it. So this basically means minimum length without the minimum length attribute, because it's saying like somewhere between 8 or whatever this number would be. So 8 or 300, 8 or 45, but it's actually to any amount. So it's almost like infinity. So by saying 8 to, when it's blank like that, it means to infinity. So we don't need this. So the code does pass. So let's remove this. Alright, so now we're at 24. Let us go to the next part, to the registration form. So at 30, we're going to push it again. Step 34, let us go to the next part of the registration form. The section will ask for the type of account the user is opening, and we'll confirm the user has read the terms and conditions. Start adding 3 label elements to the second field set. Alright. So we're adding 3 label elements. So looks like that's what we're supposed to do. So let's just replicate that here. So first one, second one, third one. Save all. Step 25, users will be allowed to choose either a personal account or business account. To do this, with each of the first 2 label elements, add 1 input element with type radio. So it's going to be a radio button. Okay, so for this one, alright, so that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna add the same thing. Here's a radio button, and here's another radio button. For the terms and conditions, add an input with a type of checkbox to the third. Alright, so this is the third one. and they want us to make it required. Let's check box. Alright, so I'm gonna replicate that here. Check box. And we're also gonna add the required. Within each corresponding label element, and immediately after the input element, add a space and add the following text: personal account, business account, accept the terms of use. Okay, so it's going to go in place of this, so this is going to go here. Oh, they want a space. Okay. This is the second text. Space. And I think it's another space for this also. So the input element, space, and does this check out? Alright, it checks out, so let's add that for this. So space, personal account, space for business account, and it's going to be space for terms and conditions, the checkbox. Got a ways to go. It's kind of like this is like a demo project to kind of create a project in real time in GitHub. So we're going through this. So we're on step 28 out of I think 62. You only want one radio button to be selectable at a time. However, the form does not know the radio buttons. Alright, so this is an important thing. Remember, this is in order for it to, because you can only select one radio button at a time, you need to give it the same name. So the name it wants it to share is account type. And why do you want it to share the same name? So that it can only select one radio button at a time. That's the first one. And this is the second one. So then, when we do that, now it only selects the personal one or the business one, where let's say, we make some kind of typo, it won't have this. It'll be able to select two at the same time. So by giving it the same name, it makes it so that it can make it a clear name and value pair where only one option can be selected at a time. Where if it was a checkbox, there can be more than one option, but for a radio button, there can only be one option. So just want to make sure okay, one sec. Alright, so just making sure that both are being displayed. Edge form, alright. Step 28. You only want one radio button to be selectable at a time. Over the form, does not allow it. Alright, so that should work. And we already saved those changes, so now we're going to the next one. Step 29. Follow accessibility best practices by linking the input elements and label elements in the second field set. Use personal account, business account in terms of conditions as values for the respective ID attributes. So it wants it to be in I think it wants it to have an ID. Also, actually, wants it to have an ID to match the name. So this one will be personal account. And if this one's selected, it'll be a business account. And if this one's selected, it will be terms and conditions. Okay, so now it wants to have 4 to match. So 4 is going to match the ID. And this 4 is going to match this ID. This 4 is going to match this ID. Alright, so let's apply those changes. So for 4, it's personal account. And for ID, and this one's for business account. So now we're just adding the same code. Okay, so this is going to be 4 terms and conditions, and this is going to be of the ID terms and conditions. Alright, so I think given we're at 30, now's the time to do a push. So we're going to try to open Github desktop. I'm going to try to make that visible. Alright, so you should be seeing it, so now we're going to make a commit. So it's noticing the two changes. So new changes at 6 a.m. March 5th, 2023. And what did we do? We applied the tutorial up to 30 to the code, to the project. So commit to main. So now we're going to push it. So now that code should be visible. Those changes should be visible. So as you see, those changes have been made. So we're just getting more and more familiar with GitHub. These changes have been made. And these changes should have been made as well. Alright, so let's just get back to it. So we're gonna do 30 to 40. 30 to 50. I think we're gonna go up to 40 today. To finish this field set off, link the text terms and conditions in the third label to the following location. Okay. So it wants us to add a link here, I believe. Oh, I just want to make sure this code is visible. So there's the link. And I believe this is what it wanted us to do. Okay. You should only wrap the A element around the text terms and conditions. Alright, so there we go. So we now have, how this looks is, if you can see it, now terms and conditions has a link. So now we're going to apply those same changes. Alright, so I think we've made that change. So now on 31, moving on to the final field set. So it's going to be right here. What if you wanted to allow a user to upload a profile picture? Well, the input type file allows just that. Add a label with the text, upload profile picture. Okay, so add a label with the text, upload profile picture right here, and we're going to put in here an input element. And it's going to be of type file. So meaning it'll actually accept file as an argument. So let's do that. Label input type file. So we'll see what this looks like again. So again, that thing where it says choose file, that's what that is. This looks like it works. Step 32, add another label after the first. Add another label after the first. Alright. Put the text. Alright, with this text. Then we're putting an input element. Next, add a minimum attribute. Because users under the age of 13 should not register. Alright. Also probably will not be over the age of 120, so maximum of 120. And I believe that's what it wanted us to do. So, gonna run it. So, gonna make those changes. Just making those changes right here. So this is going to be that, and this is going to be the input element that we just created. So now we're at step 33. So we're going to go to 40. Then at the end of all this, we're gonna test out this this form. Adding a drop down to the form is easy with a select element. A select element is a container for a group of option elements, and the option element acts as a label for each drop down option. It's basically so it's like a drop down menu. Both elements require closing tags. Alright, start by adding a select element below the two label elements. Alright, so then nest 5 option elements within the select. Alright, so here's a select element. Alright, we got that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's check the code. The code passes. So we're going to make those same changes. think it's after this. So I wanted us to add all this. So yeah, there we go. Step 34, nest the select element with its option elements within a label element with the text, how did you hear about us? The text should come before the select element. So I think this is the first one. Oh, okay. So this is going to be surrounding this. And this is going to be the text. Check the code. Oh, I didn't paste it. Now check the code. Alright, so that's what we do. So we're going to nest this in a label element. One sec. So right here. So this text, transferring it over. Save all. Alright. Is that right? Oh, actually, no. It's supposed to be after the label. So after this whole tutorial, we're gonna compare and see how we did. So now 35 out of 40 for today. Actually, we're gonna end it off at 35, so going on for an hour and 17 minutes. Then we're gonna pick it up and we're gonna just kind of continue going. I guess we're starting at 35. We're gonna just try at least 20 more, so probably to at least 50 to 55. And then the last one's gonna be finishing it. Oh, but first, we're gonna do is save the changes, save all, and we should have new changes. So we're gonna call them new changes at 6:22 a.m. 3523, and we applied up to tutorial 35 to the code. That's a fair note. So now we've made a commit, and now we have something. So once we save it, so what a commit is kind of like you save it and then you apply a sticky note. It's like every time you have that, it's called a commit. It's like a sticky note attached to your work. So every time you edit and build on your work, you're adding like a sticky note to it, and then and only then you're able to turn in your work. So now, right now, we're going to push it to change and turn in our work. So now, all those changes we just did is now applied. And there's even an app I have access to on my phone that I could see that code on my phone. But I should be able to see that new code, that new code.